world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive, we're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face.
Welcome to the Red Pill Sports Entertainment Show. I am your host, Albert Apache, and as usual, brought to you by Open Source Self-Defense, Fitness, and Grappling. Okay, guys, we got a lot to go through in this show, so we're going to get into it pretty quickly here. We're going to start off with the Gracie University, Gracie Combatives, and we're going to finish up the 4-part review of a BJJ Fundamentals video curriculum. So we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL, talk a little bit about MMA, and what transpired this weekend. It was a really fun weekend for traditional masculinity type sports. And let's hope that we can save it from the SJW super woke community and ESPN and the like. Remember, guys, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any questions or you disagree with any of my takes. It really does help out. I appreciate it. So, with no further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first segment. Okay, everybody, so I'm logged on to GracieUniversity.com. This is where you can get the Gracie Combatives program. It is their beginner program. This is most notably, the done by Hiron and Henner Gracie out of Torrance, California. And you can see that as you scroll down here, you have different courses, combatives, the master cycle, blue to purple belt, goes down through their women empowered program. But we're taking a look at the Gracie Combatives so that we can do a thorough review. So you'll see there I have all 37 of 37 lessons. So we click to expand the lessons. And once you click to expand the lessons, you will see all the lessons listed. So you have your intro class, which is basically just them talking to you and telling you why they chose the techniques they chose, and essentially that you need to follow the program as it's laid out. And just so you know, you do not follow the program, lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You kind of follow the program in a it's not totally sequential. So for instance, you might do lessons 1, 2, 3, and then you'll repeat them, and then you'll move on to lesson 4, 5, and 6, and then you'll come back to 1, 2, and 3, and then you'll go to like 7, 8, 9, and then you'll come back to 3, 4, 5. So it's somewhat sequential, but it's not completely sequential, right? You backtrack as you add on more techniques into your training, so that you kind of keep it fresh. So so hopefully you're refreshing the information that you've already digested in past lessons. So in total, they do offer 36 lessons for the Gracie Combatives. Now, it's a bit misleading to think that there is only 36 techniques. They do say that. They say that there are 36 techniques in Gracie Combatives. That being said, I guess if you're being strict about what you're deciding to call a technique, that might be, or you're being broad in your definition, I guess I could say. That could be absolutely true. However, many of the techniques offer that they offer have more than one variation. So let's take a look, for instance, at the trap and roll. This is a lesson you can get on YouTube for free. I believe it's even offered for free. You can create your own account on Gracie University, and just creating an account gives you access to a couple of lessons. And I think that's like lesson 1 and lesson 2. So let's go ahead and watch the trap and roll, since that's something that they already give out for free. Now, this is where I really feel that the Gracie University scores very, very high. Number one, it scores high in the curriculum or game plan score, right? Because, like I said, it has it completely laid out. Lessons 1 through 36. They also supply you with the training schedule that tells you how to train your lessons. Like I said, it's not completely sequential. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, something like that. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but it goes some way like that. And so you see that you have the video player up in the upper left hand. You have some slides over on the upper right hand, and they're just kind of going through, the slides go through a couple of basic details during the video that you're watching. You also have a chat down here in the lower right hand. Basically, this is telling me that currently there are 28 other students across the world that are logged in, that are watching this particular technique, so that if I want to chat with them and say, hey guys, what's up, blah, 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 they can reply back to me. This is good as far as, there is some other support. And then as far as further support, you have these moderated lesson forums. So for instance, if I had a question about the technique, I could type it right here under post a question and then hit submit the question. And let's read some of the questions. And this is what some of the coaches are saying or answering back. So you have when passing from guard to mount at the start, when keeping their hips tight with your elbows and sitting back. My friend posted their feet and hands and started to bridge upwards, lusting their feet and arms to lift their hips. I think that's supposed to be using their feet and arms to lift their hips. You should be able to retain position and control. If not, this action presents other opportunities for passing the guard or standing up. Question: I did this with my brother and he just pushed my shoulder down the whole time. I was trying to put my head against his chest and he just put me down. Assuming that you're referring to the punch block variation, use your legs to drive and twist your torso in the direction of the arm that pushing on your shoulder. If the bad guy doesn't base with the hand, then you'll roll him. So hopefully, you're getting some coaching, some feedback. Now, the other cool thing about this particular program is the fact that you can go into a Gracie certified training center. I don't know if it's still the case, but I know when I originally bought my DVD set, it also gave you I want to say it was 2 free drop-ins to any CTC or something like that, which was really cool to go in and check it out and see that, hey, they really are working this program. But anyhow, if we go through...
Welcome to lesson number 1.
We're going to go ahead and turn down the volume. We don't want to get too much copyright stuff. So you can see the tick marks across the bottom there. And those are the different variations that they go through. So there they're talking about the next variation, what they're going to do here. And this is where the quality of the video is a bit antiquated. I mean, you can really see it here in this full screen shot. You can really see how the video is kind of grainy, a little bit fuzzy, but the details that they give on all of the techniques is really good, really well done. So here they're showing what they're supposed to be doing for the trap and roll. They're showing what your body should look like, moving without somebody on top of you. Really great for the details. Here they're really going over a detail. He's talking about how he's capturing the back of the arm, the back of the tricep, how he's hugging the back with the other arm, his ears to the guy's shoulder, he's trapping the foot, and he'll go through and he'll do the roll. Now they're doing a different variation. This is what you would call the headlock variation. So he's covering this particular variation. And now they're talking about, okay, you've trapped and rolled. Now you're trying to pass from the guard to get to mount. And this is a very rudimentary pass. I almost wouldn't even call it a pass, because are you really passing the guard of somebody who doesn't even know that they're playing guard? And this is where my major critique of Gracie Combatives always comes in, which is with the advent of MMA and MMA being so popular, some of these basic concepts and ideas are so widely distributed now. I don't know that, I think that there's a good number of people that would now realize that if they fall to the ground, they end up on the bottom of the fight somehow, that they're supposed to close their ankles, cross their ankles, and close their guard around you and try to hold on to you. I think there's a lot of people that know that now. Like, not even from training jiu-jitsu, just from the fact of, I've watched some MMA and this is what those guys do, right? Like, just like I don't think that, everybody knows how to run a route properly as like an NFL wide receiver, but they do realize that they're supposed to run a certain amount of distance and then turn, right, inward, outward, at an angle, or come back to the ball, or whatever they're supposed to do. They know that, and I'm not saying that that part is brain surgery, right? So same here with jiu-jitsu, understanding after watching some, UFC, watching some MMA, that, hey, when these guys end up on bottom and they're getting in trouble, they wrap their legs around the other guy and they kind of hold on to the head and they look for an opportunity to roll him over. Like, that part of the concept is not that hard to get. So they go through, and there we have it. So details in this program are amazing. The support in this program is amazing. The cost is now amazing. When I first originally purchased the DVDs, years and years back, I want to say it was somewhere in the neighborhood of almost $300. I want to say it's like $200 and some dollars, $250, something like that, for the DVD set. Now you can get this program online for, I want to say, about $100 and somewhere in between. I think I posted it on the last slide, or the first slide we ever did, comparing all the programs, but it's less than $200. So it's a really great value. The one part that I do not like about the Combatives program is that you cannot download this program. You can't download this onto your mobile device. You can see that across the bottom for all the tools, there is no, there's absolutely no download button here, right? You scroll up, there's no download button here. So other than, you know, doing a screen capture and recording the each entire lesson, there is no way to take this with you if you were to go somewhere else. Now, they do offer, like I said, at least they used to offer the DVD program as well that you could purchase, but it seems as though they are getting away from offering the DVDs. So the portability, the accessibility is not as flexible as some of the products that come out of BJJ Fanatics. So all in all, for a beginner, I think this is an outstanding program. Now, who is this program for? This program is honestly for any beginner. I don't care if you want to do sport jiu-jitsu. I don't care if you want to do just self-defense. This is a course for any beginner. Who this course is not for, okay? This course is not for somebody who is extremely well versed in jiu-jitsu and really has no, you know, doesn't place any value on concepts as far as self-defense goes, and they think that whatever they know is going to be okay. Like, you're just not going to find a whole lot of value in this. Do I think you would get some value? You might. There's some things that they constantly hammer on that reminds you about certain things. You know, for instance, the fact that, you know, hey, remember that when you're training jiu-jitsu, you can get punched in the face on the street. Like, you know, they talk about a lot of that over and over and over. So they hammer that point home, which I know that at a lot of sports schools, they just don't. I mean, if we're just being honest about it, I've trained at a lot of schools. I've dropped into a lot of schools. Done some traveling, you know, across the country, and, you know, hey, can I do a drop-in class, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying I didn't have fun and I didn't enjoy myself. I enjoyed myself when I dropped in at other classes. But if we're going to be 100% honest and we're going to, you know, be red pill individuals and tell each other the truth is that many schools do not care or talk about or even mention the fact that you could get punched in the face should you try these techniques on the street, and that, you know, this is why these concepts work for this but don't work for that, or these are the dangers of doing it in the street. But here in the Combatives program, that is top of mind. I personally feel like this is a great program for every starter, because every beginner in jiu-jitsu, because it gives you the foundations, the building blocks of jiu-jitsu, as far as not only does it give you some basic techniques, it also gives you the basic techniques which are going to be self-defense efficient, and it teaches you how to train, okay? This program, more than any other, does address the bad guy, or does address the opponent and what their behavior patterns should be. It does talk about what are, one of the key terms that Henner uses over and over is, what are the indicators to tell you that this is the proper technique to use at this time. You know, they, at the end of each lesson, as we can see down here, this is where they go to, you see there's slices, and it says standard variation, punch block variation, headlock variation. Those are the different variations of the technique. And then number 5 says reflex development drill, right? So that now teaches you how to drill the technique in order to develop the reflexes in an actual fight. So you could almost think of it as positional or flow rolling, positional sparring or flow rolling. So they're almost teaching you how to flow roll so that you can start to sharpen your technique and start to build the reflexes that you need to move in the ways that you need to move. Now, the one thing I can criticize about every single one of these techniques is that, every single one of these programs that we've reviewed, is that very few of them address the underlying, they're giving you the fundamentals and the basics of jiu-jitsu. They they don't really cover the foundations of body movement in complete detail, right? What are some drills and what are some things that you can do in order to get better at moving in those specific manners, right? They don't really address that too much. So it is what it is, guys. There's probably no such thing as a perfect program, particularly for distance learning. That is one great thing about the Combatives program, is it definitely is made and it was thought out and laid out in a way that you could train at home with you and maybe one other partner, that you could distance learn. I think that somebody could get, I'm not going to say blue belt level at all, but I would think that somebody could definitely get to be two stripe, white belt for most academies, efficient. They'd be lacking some skills because there's no gi involved, but beyond that, they would have a fairly good understanding about, flexing their hips, using their hips, understanding that they have to be heavy. I mean, they would be far enough along to where I think you could take somebody who had completed this program and you would feel comfortable putting them into a sparring class and know that, okay, yeah, they're probably going to get smashed by people who know more, but they're at least going to be in there and be working and moving, and they're going to get something out of it. They're not just going to get smashed. And so I really think this is a really great program, and for the price, it's hard to beat. Like I said, the Danaher system, I think, is so much more detail as far as pin and turtle escapes go. I think it is just far and away a lot of information that will help your game in those positions ridiculously. That being said, it's the cost that really separates these two programs. And the support, right? All of the support, all the smaller details here, the slides on the right hand side, the chat, the question bar, all the different bookmarks that are in here. That's what really makes the difference between the Gracie Combatives program and the John Danaher program. But a lot of information either way. I don't think you can go wrong with either program if you're looking to spend, about a little over $100 on a program to try and get the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu down. But this is a great program because I really feel like it teaches you how to start training jiu-jitsu. Okay, guys. Well, that's what we got on the Gracie Combatives review. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll get into the rest of the show. Let's move on. Okay, my friends, it is time to get into the next segment of the show. And it was a spectacular weekend for sports, particularly if you like traditional masculine sports, football, the NFL, and of course, MMA. Now, unfortunately, for those of us who do believe in the purity of sport, the idea that sports was a meritocracy, and it's really the reason that draws most men to watch it. That pretty much all your accolades, everything you do, is based on the merit of your skill, the person that you are. we don't even really have a whole issue, most men, with the fact that, our accomplishments on the field will somewhat be judged through a lens that is also going to be shaded or focused, colored with whatever it is that we've done off the field, right? Most men understand this. It's one of the reasons why Michael Irvin wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he probably deserved it. His off the field issues kept him from being a first ballot guy. T.O. Is not in the Hall of Fame. I think that has to do with some off the field issues. So, I think even though we understand as men that our merit matters in the realm that we compete, that off the field issues still matter, right? Now, all that being said, unfortunately for the NFL, they are allowing their playoff process to be hijacked by the SJWs at BSPN, and all their social justice warriors and all the rest of ridiculous left-wing social justice, sports outlets. They are hijacking the NFL playoffs, which is I want to say that these playoffs should be the saving grace of the NFL. I mean, who doesn't want to see the Tom Brady show and see if he can make it back to the Super Bowl, which he obviously did. Patrick Mahomes is a freak. He's amazing to watch. So it should be the saving grace. But instead of allowing those two stories to be the biggest stories in the NFL, the woke sports media is pushing this ridiculously asinine story about Eric Bieniemy and if he will be passed over as a head coach candidate yet again, as if Eric Bieniemy has been a offensive coordinator for a decade. I mean, it only takes a bit of time here. I mean, this was a really quick search. I know I've watched Eric Bieniemy play. I knew he was a coach of some type, but I was pretty positive he was not the offensive coordinator in Kansas City the entire time he'd been there. And so just to do a sanity check, I kind of did a really quick search. And right away, right off the bat, Wikipedia, clearly you can see as a coach, Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator 2018 to present. And so what you're telling me is that 2 seasons in, he hasn't gotten a head coaching job yet. So what? He was a running backs coach before that, which, given that he was a running back, is understandable, and I, would have no problem with, him not getting a head coaching job directly from a running backs coach position. Like, that only makes sense. The real story here is the fact that if he were to get a head coaching job after only 2 years of coaching experience, of offensive coordinator experience, that's the real story. Now, here's my problem with the woke sports media, and I'm going to warn those of you who are rooting for Eric Bieniemy right now, and this is a warning to Eric Bieniemy himself. See, one of the things I've learned about the SJWs is that they love to be the ones to prop you up, particularly if they have something that they feel they can hang over your head to tear you down. Now, let's check out this website and what this website was talking about just a year ago when Eric Bieniemy was being considered for the Bengals head coaching position. So he was being considered for the Bengals head coaching position, and immediately they start attacking Eric Bieniemy's character, talking about things that happened in his past, an altercation at a bar, while he was at the university or Colorado University, talking about his driving record and the fact that he's lost his driver's license, that this is an issue with his past, that he fled the scene of an accident, was taken into custody for that, that he interfered with firefighters' work because there was a fire at his mother's house and he directed them not to tear down the wall, but that the fire was somewhere else, and all these things. He was arrested for a DUI. That there were several rape allegations against players at Colorado while he was a coach. So you see, it's a poison pill that they're sending Eric Bieniemy's way. They will want him to be beholden to them. He will have to toe the line, and this is the real reason why they're pushing Eric Bieniemy. I mean, let's face it, as true football fans, not the SJWs, not the woke sports media culture, okay, as true football fans, we understand that there are questions about how good of an offensive coordinator, and they're legitimate, is Eric Bieniemy. Why? Because he's been given the cheat code to Madden, essentially. He has Patrick Mahomes. It's really hard to tell when you have a talent as freakishly gifted as Patrick Mahomes to know whether or not is it coaching or is it the player's talent. I mean, are we not seeing some of these questions answered and played out right in front of us this season when it comes to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? So why would that not give owners, GMs, pause when considering Eric Bieniemy? Now, clearly what you can say is he clearly can coach, i.e., play to the strength of a superstar stud quarterback. Okay? That much is very, very clear. Here's the thing. What are you going to have wherever he goes? Are we talking about him going to Houston and Houston holding on to Deshaun Watson? Or are we talking about, him going to the Eagles and, they're going to continue to play musical quarterbacks over there? And you don't really know what you have. You see, those kind of questions matter when you're considering Eric Bieniemy because you don't know if he's going to fit the guy you have at QB. We have yet to see him put together a consistent winning offense without the cheat code of Patrick Mahomes. And it seems very clear to me as a football fan that this would give owners pause. I mean, honestly, if, for instance, if you take an offensive coordinator that is able to get wins and put together a very efficient offense, plays to the strength of their quarterbacks, adjust mid-season. Let's say, players go down, quarterback goes down, backup comes in, backup goes down, another quarterback comes in. But you're still putting together game plans that exploits the best strengths of your backup's backup, I'm a little more comfortable with saying, okay, you're a guy that could possibly be a good head coach, because you understand that you need to shift your game plan, that you need to exploit the gifts, the talents of the people you have on the field. And that might not always be the things that you want to do as a coach. That might not always be, quote unquote, your system. So is Eric Bieniemy a West Coast offensive guy, and that's really who he is? Or, and that's his coaching philosophy? Or is this kind of an offense he inherited, and, you know, he doesn't understand how to put together a game plan around a quarterback that is not Patrick Mahomes? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. And, you know, people should not be pretending like this is some kind of race issue. So sometimes I'm just not sure what ESPN is thinking. You would think they would have learned their lesson by now, that, you know, people don't want to be preached to about things that are nonsensical, you know. I mean, it's just nonsense to suggest that a guy who's been an offensive coordinator for all of 2 years should be getting a head coaching job when he has the best player, the best offensive player in the league for the past 3 years. It just is, it's ridiculous. Okay? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. Of course, there are going to be questions around him. Just like there's questions around, you know, there was questions around Jason Garrett, and why Jason Garrett lost his job, right? Was because people felt like, well, yeah, you're going 500, you're winning some games, you're breaking even, but you have a whole bunch of talent. So we don't know if are you winning despite a lack of talent, or are you winning, you know, because you have talent and you really don't know what you're doing. So, you know, it's one of those things, and this is the thing with coaching. And as soon as you go to a guy, you know, one of the ways you can set back a franchise is by starting to go through the coaching carousel and bringing in a coach, letting go a coach, bringing in a coach, letting go a coach. So bringing in a coach should be, you know, for most franchises, is something that they're going to do. And they're going to try and probably stick with that coach for 2 to 3 seasons. That's usually the plan, to at least stick with them that long, to allow them time to put in their system. You usually want to give them 1 full season to put in their system, and then, you know, judge them after that. It's a little different in the NFL than in NCAA and in college, because of the fact that, in the NFL, you're getting the best of the best players, and, you know, you're, to some extent, you're picking your players, right? To where in college, yeah, you recruit, but more the player picks you and picks where they play than you pick the player. In the NFL, it's more about you're picking the player. So it really, really is. This is a non-story, and I really don't understand why the NFL is allowing it to happen. They need the ratings right now, and they really need them to, stay away from propping up this non-story, because it's not a story here. I mean, as far as I know, Eric Bieniemy has been interviewed for positions, and he will be interviewed for positions. That being said, I mean, you cannot deny the fact that, having Patrick Mahomes is definitely a leg up. It's a cheat code. I mean, it just is what it is, man. All right, let's move on and let's talk about some good news out of the NFL. All right, so there was some playoff football, and we had Bills Chiefs go at it, and this one looked like it was going to be interesting to start the game, and then the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes just took over. I mean, what can you say? Patrick Mahomes, he is a freak, absolutely amazing athlete, amazing quarterback, generational talent. It really looks like Patrick Mahomes at this point is definitely on the level of a Brett Favre, on the level of an Aaron Rodgers, at least as far as his legacy. His accolades are going to be. If he gets another Super Bowl win, he's going to be already starting to push the envelope as, could he become the next Tom Brady and maybe even surpass Tom Brady? But, that's yet to be seen. Congratulations to the Chiefs. Really, really, just really fun to watch team. And what can you say? They're amazing. On to the NFC. So you got the GOAT winning in Lambeau in the cold. I mean, beating Aaron Rodgers. This is yet another testament to how amazing, how great Tom Brady actually is. And it kills me to say that in a certain respect because, I was not a Tom Brady fan to begin with. I've always thought that, there was all these little things, but as time has gone on, Tom Brady has proven to be an absolute amazing athlete. Now, I think the reason why Tom gets so much hate is because he takes away a lot of guys' excuses, and I've said this before. He's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest. He's not the most what we would call athletically gifted. He's older now. I mean, think of the excuse that everybody makes for their quarterback or makes for their career ending. Whether it be injury, whether it be age, whether it be you got a little bit older and you just couldn't do this or do that. I mean, guys like Tom Brady definitely just dispel a lot of those excuses. And I think that's one of the reasons why Tom gets, so much hate. And you even see it amongst his peers and his colleagues. They love to talk about how Tom Brady isn't this, he isn't that, he's not the most athletic. They like to point it out. He's not the best athlete. I mean, I would beg to differ. Obviously, he is the best athlete. He's still competing. He's the best athlete. Now, if you want to say he's not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, yeah. If you want to say he's not the most athletically gifted, sure. But overall, package for package, Tom Brady is proving to be the best athlete. And, I think it's fair to say he's probably the best football player in at least the last generation. Maybe last two generations. He's been the greatest football player I've seen. And it kills me to say that because I'm a Cowboy fan. I don't want to give Tom Brady props. I want to say that, there's football players that are better, but there it's not. And I'd love it to say it about a Cowboy, but that's just not the truth. But amazing what Tom Brady was able to do, and hopefully he can get the win and really put this in the eye of the Patriots and Belichick. I just cannot stand the Patriots. I can't stand Belichick, mostly because what has come to light through this season, in my personal opinion, is that what we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, whatever it's been in New England, is not the quote unquote Belichick way, the Patriot way. What we've seen is the TB12 way. That's what you've seen up there in New England. You've seen the TB12 way, and that has manifested itself and played out right before our eyes this past season. So, congratulations, GOAT. You know, best of luck to you in the Super Bowl. And let's go ahead and move on into the next topic. Okay, so this past weekend in the UFC, we watched a stunning upset victory by Dustin Poirier, knocking out Conor McGregor. So congrats to Dustin. And it was shocking because the reality is that Conor made short work of Dustin in their last fight. And matchup wise, what we've seen out of Dustin did not suggest that this was a good matchup for him stylistically. I mean, that's just being 100% honest and real. Very impressed with Dustin because what we saw here was Dustin being patient. He added some stuff to his game early, which put him in a position to win. Those leg kicks were the calf kick in particular, going to that low calf, shutting down the movement of McGregor is what set up the knockout victory. Why do I say this? What going for those calf kicks did was it took away some of the mobility of Conor McGregor. You could see the way that he was moving later in that second round as we were getting close to the point where he got KO'd, where he got pinned up against the cage. His movement was diminishing. Particularly his defensive movement was diminishing. This set up getting put against the cage, and as Dustin started to fire, right, it wasn't that Conor was hurt initially, okay? It was that Conor could not move. His leg was not working the way he needed it to move in the ways that he's used to. And so he was pretty much limited to upper body movement. This was a fantastic, amazing, high fight IQ game plan implemented by Dustin Poirier. And what we see again from Conor McGregor is a lack of ability, as well as SBG, is a lack of ability to make adjustments within the fight. Okay, we saw it in the loss to Nate Diaz. We saw it in the loss to Khabib. We saw it in the loss to Floyd Mayweather. Now, Conor does a fantastic job of game planning. SBG does a fantastic job of game planning going into a fight. That being said, it really seems to me that if you add a silver bullet, so to speak, to your game, something that you don't generally do, and it's effective, it seems that his corner, his camp, has a hard time adjusting. Okay, Dustin did not engage in the brawling back and forth. I think what we saw here was a Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. He, before the fight, he was leading up to the fight, he talked a lot about wanting to get both of them be bloodied and hurt and get it into deep water and this, that, and the other. But if you watch this fight early, that is not the approach Dustin took. There were exchanges that could have been flurries of punches back and forth, but Dustin did not play into that. He did not try or allow Conor to get into his combination punching, particularly his counter punching. He would land what he had to. If he was able to move and slip, he moved out of the way. You also saw early on in the fight, Conor did catch him with the left early, but much to my surprise, unlike Dustin usually does, he was loose and he kind of rolled with it. He let the fact that Connor hit him not phase him. He kind of took the punch like, okay, you hit me, and he kind of rolled with it, and he took the impact and he kind of backed off. He did not rush in to get it back. Very smart fight. Very unemotional. How do you say, cerebral fight by Dustin Poirier. Something I have not seen from him. Going into this fight, some buddies of mine were talking. We were on the mats warming up, and we all thought that Dustin is a fantastic fighter, but one of the reasons why we were all favoring Conor McGregor was because Dustin seemed to have a kind of Donald Cerrone type mental block to us, where it seems like every time he gets to a big fight, he, doesn't quite show up. And you see this in, for instance, the Khabib fight. Dustin is not a knockout sniping puncher. That's not what Dustin's forte is. Yet you see he regresses into almost a brawling, I'm going to hit you one time and knock you out type of fighter with Khabib, instead of being the volume, technical striker that he can be. Even when he's in exchanges, he's still very technical. And what you saw when he fought Khabib, and even the last time he fought Conor, was that he kind of devolved into the scrappy, and I want to hurt you type of fighter. And it seems like, that's when you take him out of his game, that's when he has problems. So congratulations to Dustin. Amazing victory. I think that, what can you say? He's right back into title contention. I mean, if Khabib's not coming back, he's right there for the belt. If Khabib is coming back, I mean, who do you put up against Khabib? I mean, maybe you give him Michael Chandler, since you haven't seen that. But in all reality, I think at this point, I would like to see Khabib rematch against Dustin. I know a lot of people think that that's ridiculous, but in my opinion, I feel like beating a guy twice is very, very hard. After somebody's seen you and they felt your power, they felt your strength, they know where you're strong, when they've kind of gotten over, the surprise of anything you brought to them, I think it really is a hard thing to do, to beat a guy twice, and it's something that Khabib hasn't done. He hasn't rematched anybody, at least in the UFC, and I'm trying to think of all his other fights. I can't think of another rematch that he's had, and it would be fantastic to see him rematch against the likes of Dustin Poirier, because I really do feel that when Dustin is in his game, I feel like his style does give Khabib problems. If he is moving forward and he stays off the fence, and he punches in bunches, 2, 3, 4 punch combinations, I think that gives Khabib problems. I really do. I think you saw that, in the few fights that he's had problems, in the snapshots in time that Khabib has had problems. It's because guys are putting combination punches together, and he is hittable. I mean, he definitely is hittable. Those low calf kicks, I think those can be a problem as well. If this is something that Dustin is going to definitely keep in his arsenal, I think that it just makes him that much tougher of an opponent for Khabib. I think it makes him a very bad matchup for Khabib, so long as he is in his game plan. And like I said, I just think it's tough to beat a guy twice. But that's just my opinion. I think it'd be fun to watch. We'll see what the UFC puts together. And Michael Chandler, what can you say? Beast of a guy. Dan Hooker, no, he's not the best of the best, but he is an elite fighter. And to get that knockout victory over him was pretty spectacular. Okay, guys, that's what we have for the show. Later on in the week, I'm going to try and put out some stuff for those of you who are new to jiu-jitsu. If you're watching the shows, to pick a fundamentals foundational program, I'm going to put together a couple more things that you can do, similar to last show, that will help you get better at jiu-jitsu faster. I know how frustrating it can be when people, give you the textbook answers and they're really not, anything concrete. So we'll put together some stuff, some things you can be doing concrete. I'll try and get that out later this week. Okay, guys. Well, that is it for me. I hope you liked the show. I hope it brought value to you. Remember, please like, subscribe, comment down below if you disagree with anything. Comment down below. Let me know that you're watching, you're hearing, whatever. If you have questions, and I'll do my best to answer them, or we'll figure them out together. So that's all I got. Remember, till next time, be practical, be purposeful, get fit with a purpose, guys.
The world changes soon, can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a boob or a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive, we're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth? Weird. People are so stupid.